Uncover series, where we're looking at the secrets of success of today's law firms, and we've looked at starting a new law firm. We've looked at the role of moving to a paperless working, and today we're looking at LinkedIn and how that helps you in your marketing of your business. Just before we get into the details of this, perhaps Yvonne, could you just pop us onto the next slide, please, for a bit of housekeeping. Perfect. So if you do want to raise any questions or queries during the course of the webinar, I think most of us are into webinar mode, and there's a speech bubble on your on the bar at the top of your screen. Just pop your question in. That is a public speech bar, so whatever you pop in there, everybody else on the webinar will be able to see. We will try and cover those your questions through the course of the webinar. If we run out of time or whatever, then we will get back to you afterwards, and I will share you the details of the panelists' contact information later on. Okay, so next slide, please. And to introduce themselves. So Yvonne, do you want to say a few words about yourself, and then I'll move on to Sahar?
Yes, hopefully everyone can see.
And I can't hear you. I don't know about anybody else.
I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Can everybody hear me okay?
I'm not hearing you, but
Neil, Sahar, Stuart?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, that's obviously me. Right. So just carry on without. If you can hear me, just carry on without me for the moment. I'll try and make sure I can catch up when hearing you.
Sure. Hi everyone, my name is Yvonne Boateng, and I am excited to be here with you guys. So thank you for joining us. A little bit about me. I used to work for LinkedIn. I was there for 4 years. I left a great job to start my consultancy, and I specialize in activating employees, leaders on LinkedIn mainly. And I'm hired by brands and corporations to run and launch programs for their people to train them on how to build successful professional brands and grow their influence on LinkedIn. Thank you.
I think that's me next. My name's Sahar Faruqi. I'm a barrister who specialises in commercial disputes, but I'm also a partner at an international law firm called DAC Beechcroft, where along with my business partner, we head up the chambers offering of the firm. Slightly unusual in that there is effectively a law firm with a chambers within it. And as a result of that, we are able to not only service the work that the firm itself goes to barristers for normally, but also a lot of our clients are smaller and regional law firms who instruct us, particularly in the practice areas that we have expertise in. My journey has been slightly different, as I say, because I've ended up coming from the bar into a firm. But alongside that, I also have day-to-day quite a sustained involvement in LinkedIn, which I'll hope to tell you about during the course of this afternoon. Sorry, that should have been a natural segue, Stuart, but that's my fault.
Okay, hi everybody. My name is Stuart Kay, and I'm co-founder of Adams Kay. Started off just 2 of us, including my dog, you can probably see down here in the corner having a nap. Oh no, he's woken up. My journey's been rather unorthodox. I mean, it takes 7 hours to explain it all, but in 60 seconds, my background is theatre, and law happened for a variety of reasons, but we set up our little law firm in the city 3 years ago, just the 2 of us and dog. And now 3 years later, there's 20 of us. and we do residential conveyancing within England, mostly in London and Greater London. And LinkedIn has been very, very useful, important, and fun, I would say, as part of our journey, which I'm sure we'll come on to in a lot more detail throughout the course of this show. And over to you.
Who's going to say it? You're on mute, Julian.
Julian, you're on mute.
Can you hear me now, folks?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Can you hear me still? Good, folks. Sorry about that. A bit of a technical issue on my part. Right. So thanks, Sahar. And my name, now that I'm back here and speaking, is obviously Julian Bryan, Managing Director at Quill. I've been here for in this role for about 10 years now. Quill is providing legal accounts and practice management software for about 800 law firms up and down the country, throughout England and Wales. And we actually have one law firm actually down in the Falkland Islands, of all places. We also provide a number of outsourcing services for law firms, including cashiering, payroll, outsourced typing, and even a post room. So if you do want to pick up with Quill and our services, then we can have a chat after the call. So without any further ado, let me now pass over to Yvonne, who is going to take us through her views on how to use LinkedIn for the best. So over to you, Yvonne, and your next slide, please.
Thank you very much, Julian. Hi, everyone. You already know my name is Yvonne, and today is all about LinkedIn and giving you a guide on really how to grow your brand, grow your businesses. And just before we dive in, I've got a QR code here on the page, which we all have. So if you were to hold your camera up to it without taking a picture, you'll be able to see my LinkedIn profile. So just to let you know, my mission today is to inspire and to excite you about LinkedIn, because it is one of the most powerful tools available for lawyers, for partners, for law firms. And this is today's agenda. We will do a quick introduction. We'll talk about how to optimize your profiles. We will quickly touch on building your network and engaging with connections before we talk about the content and best post practices. And then I'm going to give you a score right at the end. And this is a score that we all have. It's personal to us, and it just shows us how effective we are on LinkedIn. So just another quick introduction, if I may. So I started off as a newbie myself, and even with an average profile back then, LinkedIn themselves reached out to me with a job offer. And when I became intentional about LinkedIn, it took about 6 months of being consistent. I had all these opportunities find me. And these were all through the positioning of my profile and the content that I was sharing. So I became the person, the go-to person for professional branding, for employee advocacy. And honestly, if we use LinkedIn in your industry, you are going to be far ahead of your competitors. And I really hope today you would take away at least one new thing, or you think differently about LinkedIn. So that is my personal mission. And it's just an interesting quick poll on LinkedIn about how LinkedIn is the best platform to get business from. Really, it is there to help you attract and retain clients. So it's just a quick starter for us there. So when you see these people, the same way I positioned my profile and myself, it's the same way these people have done the same. We don't know them personally, but we have a very strong perception of who they are, or at least one of them. Some might be a more positive opinion than others, but we have a perception from what we see about them on TV, what we read about them, what they share on social. It forms a view in our minds. So that is the same job that your LinkedIn profile does. So when somebody lands on your profile, they are forming an opinion of you, whether we like it or not. So it's really, really important that we manage that first impression and we construct that, because we all have that brand, whether it's something we actively work on or not, we all have it. So we will dive in. There are 4 pillars to building a strong professional brand. We will go through 1 and 3 today. So 1 is all about your brand. This is your LinkedIn profile itself. And it's really a first-time exercise or a one-time exercise to make it strong and optimize. And then 2 is all about searching and adding for people. 3, this is probably the hardest section or the hardest area to work on, but it is the most necessary. So that is the third pillar. And then the 4th is all about your connections, how much of a quality network you have. But that is really not what we will be going through today. There isn't a lot of time to cover everything. So, and if you all have access to, if you're in front of a mobile web, so not the LinkedIn app, you can go to linkedin.com/sales/SSI. So this is a personal score that each and every one of us has. And it's just a way to measure that what we're doing on LinkedIn are the right things and it's doing what it's supposed to do. So it is a score out of 100. And you've got, it's made up of 4 pillars, which is the pillars I've just talked you through today. So we all have that. It's real time. It updates depending on the activity you've got going on. And just to let you know, so this is my score, but the average is usually around 30, 40, 50. So that's usually the average of the room. But at the end, I'll give you some steps on how to directly impact this so that your score goes up. Okay. So if you're building your profile, there are some 6 key elements for lawyers. So first of all, I just want to show what not to do. So these are the types of profile pictures we should avoid. So the top left is one that a lot of us has. It's, you know, when you haven't actively put a profile picture there, this is the default. And all of these images, they don't give off the professional image that we want. So you've got, you know, one that looks like it's more for Facebook. You've got one that's a logo. You've got one that's cropped. And, you know, you've got one that there are 4 people in the image. You don't know who the profile belongs to. So these are all the types we want to avoid. And just make sure that we proactively upload, take a picture and upload this there. And I've got 3 examples of really good profile pictures. Clear headshot, a close-up of your face. You want a plain background. You don't want anything to take away from the picture of you. And don't be afraid to smile. A lot of times I'm in this room and people think it's LinkedIn, it's professional, you can't smile. We are still talking to humans. There is still somebody else who's landing on your profile. And everything that we do is to encourage people to connect or to contact us. And a part of that is making sure that we're coming across the right way. So I've highlighted these because, you know, they're strong and they give just a good example of what you should aim for. And just a quick.
Just
Yes.
piggyback that a second.
Yes, please.
Because I think building a brand is so important, but it's also important to understand that it doesn't happen overnight. It's one of those things that will take you months, if not years, to develop. So if Yvonne had taken that screenshot of my profile there, I don't know, a year ago, 2 years ago, it would have looked different, and it may have been a lot less kind of appealing. And I think that's a product of trial and error. But it's a long-term process, and you've got to recognize that it takes time to do that. Somebody told me recently, I don't know if this is true or not, but if you create a LinkedIn profile and you put in at the start that you're a law student, I will be one of the first connections that it suggests you join with or you connect with. That's a product of years and years of engagement and building the brand. So it is something that you have to have a kind of sustained and incremental approach to it. It won't happen overnight. But the things that Yvonne is talking about are absolutely the essentials, because if they're not there, then you're not going to have the basics and the foundation to build a recognizable brand around you, which is the purpose of having a profile.
I could not agree more. This is, I know a lot of us want to get into the juicy part, which is the content, but this is the foundational piece that has to be done. And it is an investment of time. And that's one thing people don't realize. They think I've been doing this for 2 weeks and nothing's happened. It is an investment of time, but it's time well spent, really well spent. And just a quick tip here, before you upload your image, name it accordingly. So in the name, the actual name of the photo, you want to put your name and a keyword. Think about the keyword that your prospects, your clients will be searching for. Again, all of this helps for SEO, which is search engine optimization. So try to save your images as, give it a name before you upload it. And I've put a link to a free tool that you can use to change the color of your background, which is what I've done. That is just a picture taken in my house, and I've just updated the background. So you'll be able to find that.
Yvonne, just something that I think people talk about your profiles there are all of people, and there's a question from someone in the webinar today about the profile of an organization. Do you want to talk about are you going to cover the difference between profile of an organization and profile of a person?
Yeah, so I can talk about it now. So the thing about LinkedIn, it's a one-to-one. The question I get mostly is, should I be posting from my personal page or should I be posting from my business page? 100% you should post from your personal page, because people are buying into you. They're buying into your values, your expertise. And when they buy into you, naturally, they'll want to know who you work for, what your company is, what it does. But you're selling your expertise, your knowledge. So some people use their company logo as their background, but sometimes I say to people, your brand goes further than the company you work for, the law firm you work for. You want to bring your personality, you want to bring something about you. You want to stand out. So sometimes when people struggle with this, I say to them, what is you as a person? What is your brand? What is important to you? If it's your own company, you're more than likely to use a background image that has your company name, which is what I've done. But Sahar he's at a point, he's very confident on social. His content is really good, really personal. So my perception is probably you don't feel you need to put your company name in your background because you're telling a wider, bigger story. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sahar. But yeah, that is think of it.
That's right, because a lot of my content, a lot of what I put out there is challenging the wider perception of lawyers. A lot of what I do is about humanizing lawyers and getting people to understand that we're regular people with regular lives, and we aren't all heartless, we aren't all ambulance chasers or profiting off misery. We're individuals who live lives like absolutely anybody else. That's why my cover picture is something relatively innocuous, because it's just me, it's my life, it's what I do. I post about professional things, but I also post about the observations I have on life and on things that I see in the workplace, and that invites people in. It invites them to engage with you and then to think, oh, okay, I had this perception of barristers as excessively posh, kind of stuck up, archaic people in wigs. And actually I had this perception that they're normally from a certain demographic, but that's not the case. It's one of the reasons why Yvonne and I were talking about this just before we joined, why is it called the slideshow, Yvonne? The short sort of clip you have.
Oh yeah, the cover story, yeah.
Cover story. For me, the video I've chosen is actually of Sir Anthony Hopkins reciting an extract of Dylan Thomas, which obviously isn't related to my job, but it's engaging, it's interesting, and it tells you that I have interests that go beyond purely the professional. Of course, if you scroll down my profile, you'll see everything about my professional existence to date. And if that's immediately what you want to go at, then we'll engage on that. But there is that kind of humanity to it, because ultimately this is a platform for human beings, which I think is really, really essential to making yourself accessible and building a network of people that want to work with you.
Brilliant. Okay, brilliant.
Excellent. I have nothing more to add to that. That was perfect.
Thanks, Yvonne.
Thank you, Sahar. And then again, the background image, is it your business? Is it something that you're interested in? We want to avoid that top left, which is blank. This is prime real estate for you to put your personality across. So choose something that's important to you. It could be a landscape as well, like Sahar has done. And we've got a few more examples just so you get an idea of what you can do with that. And there are tools such as Canva or Adobe Spark to help you create your background image, and those are all free tools available. And then I'm going to whisk through this part, and then you've got your headline. So again, some people just put their job title, but how do you then bring your personality across a little bit better? So we've got a few examples. I'm going to talk about the criminal defense attorney one. So this is where you can inject some personality into it. So criminal defense attorney, a critical thinker and more compassionate than your average. That was a client of mine who we were doing some sessions, and they were trying to think of what makes them different. And what makes them different is the fact that people say to them, I'm surprised that you are a criminal defense attorney. You're so nice, you're open, you listen, you're compassionate. So that was something that we felt we should surface. So just think, does your headline state what you do, who you do it for? And then also, does it include something about your mission or your value? And always remember to add in keywords, because people are using LinkedIn to search. And if your keywords, if those important keywords are in the headline, your about section, your experiences, your profile will rank higher if you have included those things. So moving on to your about section. Again, many people transfer what sounds like a CV here. So they say experienced lawyer with 25 years experience, some hardworking, great communication skills, etc. But think of this more from the perspective of the person or prospect who's looking at your profile. Move away from the CV. Instead, what do you do and how do you help people? And it's really that opportunity to expand on your headline and to tell your story and include something personal if you feel comfortable. But I would really suggest speaking in the first person. I see a lot of us speaking in the third person, which doesn't make it personal. You're speaking to somebody, you want to use that first person language. And again, keywords. And number 5 is all about customizing your URL and making your profile public. So again, if you've never changed your URL, it will have your name and a long string of letters. You want to change that. You just want to make it easy for people to find you. You want to make it easy to say your name, that they can search for you. And also you want to make your profile public. Too often somebody says, oh, here's my LinkedIn, and I struggle to find them. And then I find that they are on LinkedIn, they have a profile picture, but because they've got privacy settings, I'm not able to see that. So again, this is how you go to the option from your profile page to make sure that your profile is public. We don't want it hidden. We want to make it as easy as possible for people to find us. And this is such an underrated tactic that a lot of us don't use. And then finally, we've got the featured section and the cover story. So the featured section, it's relatively new feature that LinkedIn brought out. Maybe it's been a year now, or maybe less than a year. It allows you to surface the important things you want people to know about you. Again, all it's doing is building a picture. So when somebody lands on your profile, you will never be in the room to explain anything or to give more information. So what do you want them immediately to know about you? And this is a really good place to surface blogs or, highlight testimonials or, a third-party piece of research that really shows that you're on top of the changes in your practice areas. And all of this, again, is us constructing that brand. And this piece here really helps us to encourage referrals. And if you can get, a few recommendations on your profile, again, that's the social proof that everybody wants. And it really helps to win new business as well if you've got recommendations on your profile. I'm going to whiz through. So here are the key takeaways. Those are the 6 sections that we spoke about. So if you don't remember anything else from today, just remember those 6. And most importantly, remember to keep our profile open so we can be found easily. So yes, I'm going to pause there in case there are questions or comments from anyone.
So I think what we need to balance timing with questions. So I mean, Stuart, you've been sitting here very patiently. Anything you want? Any comments or I mean, maybe just go back a slide, Yvonne, just for a second. Yeah, just looking at that thing. Anybody, Stuart, want to make a comment or on there, or Sahar want to add anything to what's already been said?
I think it's extremely important that the most important one is the security settings, the public settings, that everybody on the planet should be able to see what you're doing. And if you don't want that, then I would question why. It's not like Facebook. This is a business global community. And it's a little bit like when in the olden days, pre-COVID, we used to go to something called networking events. And you go and chat to people. If you just stood there in a corner and chatting to one person and not really engaging, well, then you shouldn't be there. You're there to network and socialize. And LinkedIn is exactly the same. You're not getting the best out of it if you haven't got your security settings completely removed. I don't want to harp on about it, but it is really extremely beneficial, because when you post something, which I'm sure will be interesting, and somebody likes it, somebody else will see it who you are not connected with. It's all the tentacles will spread, and that's why that you do need the world to be able to see what you're doing.
Exactly.
Brilliant. Thanks, Stuart. So I think that those six things are really important to have in mind, and decent profile picture, background image, headline, etc. Get those right, and you're a long way there. I learned something new. I think someone had made my profile public some time ago, but I learned something new in the prep for this webinar. So we'll learn something new each day. Sahar, have you got anything to add to these key takeaways or endorsement of these key takeaways at this point?
Yeah, I'd endorse everything that's been said. One caveat, which is worth being aware of: anything that you put online is in the public domain, and it may be there in perpetuity. It may be that someone takes a screenshot of it. So think about it before you post it. Make sure that your employer, if you are employed, doesn't have guidance on social media, and if they do, that you're compliant with that, and that your regulator, whether that's the SRA or the BSB, that their guidance is also being complied with. Unfortunately, because it's out there, if you violate those things as an employee or as a regulated person, you are expected to be compliant with those things. And I have seen people fall foul of that. So be aware of that and make sure you're compliant with that.
I think that's an extremely important point, because it then follows on to say, if you are commenting on somebody else's post, try not to be too, I'm not going to say use the word unpleasant, but maybe too critical, because everybody will see it. And if you're negative, then that will be a reflection on you and not the person who's done the post.
Okay, brilliant. Right, I think a very valid point about company policies on social media, which is another topic in its own. So let's roll on a bit more. And now you've got your profile sorted, Yvonne. It's over to engagement.
Yes, so this is the juicy part. So just before we get into that, we need to remember to build our network, because if we're sharing content, is anybody listening? So if you want to generate leads and clients on LinkedIn, there's something I like to go by. So you want to find people, connect, engage, build relationships, and then convert. So converting them into clients. So really focus your time on finding and building your first degree core network. And hopefully we've all seen that. So really first connection is if, for example, Julie and I are connected, and the second level is maybe he has colleagues that he's connected to. That colleague would be my second level. And then if that colleague is connected to a whole bunch of other people, they would be so far out of my network that they are third level connections. So we should focus our attention on that first core. So are you connected to all your colleagues? We should be. Connect with all the panel, all the panelists here today. After every encounter you have, you should connect with people. And a good starting point is to go back through your emails for the last 2 to 3 months and connect with everybody you've had email comms with. And the more you connect, the more LinkedIn surfaces up relevant people to you based on your connections, based on where you've studied, based on where you've worked. And it's really that the algorithm is really clever. So the more you do, the more it learns.
And don't be afraid to connect with somebody. You might think, oh, they're not going to want to connect with me. They're far too important, or whatever. That's not true. They might not respond or accept because they maybe don't check their profiles that often. But I've connected with people, heads of companies. I thought, oh, how nice, they've connected with me. Don't be afraid of rejection. It's not really speed dating.
Exactly. Yeah, I would 100% agree. You don't have to know everybody, but try to put a personal message if you don't know them, or if they respond or they connect, maybe say thank you, just courtesy of the platform. So in terms of engaging and sharing, there are 2 things you can do. Engaging, so that's liking, commenting, and resharing, but not too often. And that is a good place to start. If you are not used to sharing, you can really start by listening to the platform, see what other people are sharing, engage with their content, and really build that confidence. And if you engage daily, you get a hang of what works, what doesn't, what people are talking about, what is good to talk about. And then when you build that confidence, you can start by sharing your own content. And in terms of engaging, you want to try to engage with 2 to 3 posts a day at a minimum, and really work your way up to 5, which is very easy to do because you've got a home feed, you've got a notification bar, all of that surfaces up content that you can engage with. And then comment thoughtfully, mention people where relevant. You don't want to just mention everyone, because if they don't respond, again, the algorithm does not fare well with that. So add thoughtful responses and be helpful in your content. Always aim to educate, and that is really what we want all of us to do a little bit more of. And here is an example of, I'm connected to someone called Andrew Monu, and he has interacted with this post here. And this person is my 3rd level connection. But because my 1st level connection of Andrew at the top interacted with it, it's come up on my home feed. And that is why it's important to build your network. And that is why it is important to be consistent, because you just show up on the feed. And the more you show up, the more you're remembered, the more you're recognized. Okay, and again, you want to comment thoughtfully, because with every comment you make, like the guys have said, with every comment you make, it follows you. So be thoughtful and, be nice. Don't be too critical there. And whatever you're posting, your profile picture goes, whatever you're commenting on, your profile picture goes with it. The beginning part of your headline goes with it. And that is why we start with that piece first. Because if we started commenting and no profile picture was visible, it would just be gray and no headline. That is not effective. So it follows you everywhere you go. And you can use that magic search bar on LinkedIn, which is what I call it. It's very powerful and very underused. Use that search bar, type a topic and filter by post. So if there's a hashtag that you want to search, or a keyword, search for it, and you'll see all the posts that use that in them. And you can start to comment. And when you are sharing and you're ready to, you're ready to share consistently, that is the magic to convert attention into leads and clients. you have to post work and non-work content. Imagine going to a networking event when that was still a thing and meeting someone that was for the whole night talking about work and there was no personality. It becomes a little bit boring after a while. So you want to make sure that you're doing a few things. Use your content like a formula. So you want to inspire people and motivate them. I always do that at the beginning of the week. You want to tell a story. You want to build that know, like, and trust and tell the story of your background. You want to show expertise. Again, value, lead with generosity. And then when you've done all of that, you've provided value to the network, it almost gives you the stripes to then do that hook post or the results post, which could be a case study or an awards you've won, which I'll give examples of later. But the point is always add value, 80 to 75% of the time, and then present your offer. Just the rest, you don't want to overdo it, because if people love what you put out, if it's resonating with people, they will connect with you, they will find you, they will reach out to you when they're ready. So it may not be now, but in 6 months, you're consistent and you keep showing up in their feed, they will find you. So, that is why we just aim to be consistent and lead with generosity. And both Stuart and Sahar do this really well. So I don't know if you wanted to quickly come in, Sahar, and just talk about how you engage with your own post. Do you do, one thing I tell people is the first hour is always very important when you post. You want to make sure that you are responding to every comment. You want to make sure that you're liking every comment. And is there anything that you do, or is there anything that you want to add here? In Stuart,
Sahar, do you want to make a comment? Because you made a comment about the speed of responses the other day when we were chatting, I think.
Yeah, there's a few things. I think it's probably the first couple of hours that are critical for engagement. So if somebody comments, you've got to react to their comment and comment on it. That in itself will boost the way the algorithm approaches your post, because the algorithm will look at that and say, people are talking about this, let's push it out further. So each time someone comments, don't think, I'll deal with that this evening. If you want it to be seen, that opening window is your opportunity. Yvonne rightly mentioned hashtags. There are hashtags that have millions of followers. So hashtags like business or management or lawyer have millions or hundreds of thousands of followers. So it's about knowing when to use, for example, hashtag lawyer instead of hashtag solicitor, because the difference in followers between those two may be hundreds of thousands of people. And in fact, if they're solicitors, they'll be incorporated within that anyway. So those things are really important. And on resharing as well, the algorithm really doesn't engage well with resharing. So if you want to reshare someone's content, the best way to do it is to write an organic post in which you talk about it and then paste the link to their content as a comment. That way, the algorithm will treat your post as new content, which will get the sort of organic support and be pushed out, as opposed to if you just reshare it, the algorithm will treat it as this is not new content, this is not interesting, it's not strictly relevant. So those are probably the things that I would add.
Yeah, 100%. And we'll look at an example of that resharing and avoiding that. So thank you for that, Sahar.
I think
Stuart looks like he wants to add something to that.
I think something else which is useful. I mean, I know probably the whole audience here, we're all lawyers. It doesn't necessarily mean, it shouldn't mean that we're all in competition with each other. I think we can complement each other as well. And as we're talking, sort of going off piste a little bit, not saying we're all in conflict with each other, but I think we should all be able to complement each other. I like promoting other people and other lawyers. And that can apply to business as well. So when I'm out at a business meeting, I will promote the business where I am at. And I think this is all part of building up knowledge for other people. So if I'm going somewhere nice, I'd like other people to know that so they can benefit from it, and the business will benefit from my promotion of them. And I think that's why LinkedIn can be such a good business tool for so many other people indirectly.
Absolutely.
Sometimes when you're, I think if you were to go back to the whole biblical thing, it's sort of when you're helping others, you're helping yourself. But it's not. It is just good, I think, for business, for one's own and others to be promoting and complementing. It does help enormously. I can't say I've ever had I've ever had a bottle of champagne sent to me from somebody because I promoted their business. I wouldn't want that. I'm doing it because I appreciate them and I want to help them. And it means that if they're still successful in trading because I've been 0.01% helping them, well, then that means I can go back there because they're still trading.
Brilliant. Okay, thanks, Stuart. Hopefully, Michelle, you're still here. Your camera seems to have gone off. We've got a question. Did anybody sign up to premium? Does anybody? Someone's asked us in the chat just rather quickly. What's your views on signing up to premium, Yvonne?
So I always tell people you have to be at a certain level before you get premium. There are some great benefits of premium, such as being able to direct message somebody you're not connected to, or being able to see who's looked at your profile, even if your own is hidden. So on a free version, you forfeit that right. And also you get some things like you can see the last 90 days of people looking at your profile versus the last 5 days if it's on free. So, but my thing is, if we're not at a point where we're using the free basic LinkedIn effectively, I would say we don't need premium.
Okay, so get the foundations in place first, get your profile right, do your content stuff. I love Sahar's comment about reposting a new organic post. Crack on, get the basics right before trying to buy a Ferrari.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Sorry to let you carry on.
No, brilliant. Thank you. That was great. Okay, so let's carry on. And when you are, oh, my screen. So once you've optimized your profile and you're ready to post, here are some ideas for your first post. Make sure that we are incorporating work and non-work human posts, like Sarah's been talking about. I'll let you look at this in your own time, but just a quick note here is we want to be conversational. A lot of times I see too much of that formal speak, and it's just, you can tell it's not natural. Be conversational, write how you speak, and it will come across it will land a little bit better if you do it that way. And then this is an example of what to avoid. Just, like Sahar said, we don't want to reshare too often because the reach and the engagement is never as good. So that's exactly what I would do. I would screenshot, and I would do the same for an article. If I saw an article on a publication somewhere, I wouldn't share that link. I would take a screenshot of the headline and I will create my post. And then in the comments, I would put a link to that post for further reading. And the reason you don't put links in the body is because, again, the algorithm doesn't want you taking people away from the platform. So if you've put a link and you're driving people away from LinkedIn, your content will be deprioritized almost. So take a screenshot, put the link in your comment as the first comment, and that is the best way to do it. But if you are going to reshare, let us avoid resharing without commentary. Again, this is where you just literally just reshare. But if you want to reshare, just put, even if it's a one-liner. So this is an example of me resharing. Even though it got almost 22,000 views, it only got 18 engagements. So it doesn't work as well. But sometimes somebody else has said exactly what you're thinking or what you're feeling, and you feel you don't need to add anything to it. So, but just don't reshare too often. And video and audio is a powerful way to connect, but it is probably the scariest form because you are more open, for judgment, and people will look at you. And it took, even though I know the power of video for many years, it's only this year that I recorded my first video because I know that I had to get over it. And that's the mindset shift I try to help people with. It's get out of your own head. Video allows you to connect in a way that text doesn't allow. So if you are trying to really convert attention, consistently doing videos is extremely powerful. And you know, just a quick example, this is my first video. You can see it's very dark. And then this is my third video where I'm getting a little bit comfortable. So the more you do it, the more it just becomes natural or a little bit more easier. So that consistency is a really good thing.
Do you get a better reach? Do you get a better reach with video, Yvonne?
Yes, you do. If video does extremely well, LinkedIn prioritized video. They brought out video maybe 6 years ago. So they were very late to the party versus other social platforms. So yes, they love video. The more video you do, the more it gets pushed out. Text post is also good, but video is powerful.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. And then, cool, next slide. And if you want to win at video, there are a few free tools that you can use. We all have a smartphone, probably, so we can use our phone to lighten the image if it's too dark. I use something called Capwing, which allows you to put free subtitles on your videos. Again, a lot of people are watching videos on mute without sound. So how do you make it inclusive? How do you, you know, make sure that people know what you're talking about if they're watching it on mute? Oh, that broke up. I'm not sure what happened there. Okay. So that's
okay.
just, so yeah, so subtitles and a header, again, all it does is it brings attention to your post, to your video in the feed. And when you are ready to structure a post, this is what you should try to aim for. So you want a punchy opening, because your content will only show the first few lines until somebody has to click see more. So how do you have a punchy opening? Well, here's an example. So LinkedIn is a huge distraction. I mean, I completely disagree. It can be addictive. So that made me want to see more and click more. The same thing with the top example. Well, we can't put salaries on job adverts. It would rock the boat internally. So you're looking for a punchy opening. You want to make sure you include a question, because that is how you encourage engagement. So here you've got, is this a way to deal with this? Or, you know, there are so many ways. What are your thoughts? Or do you agree? Just ask a question so people answer that in the comment section. And my own headline, which is I quit my amazing job at LinkedIn. And just a few more examples. Oh, there's a just a few more examples. We've got different formats. We've got text posts. We've got polls, which are really good, again, for driving leads, because when people answer your polls, you can see exactly who they are. And it's a really great conversation starter in the DM. So if somebody responded to your comment or to your content in the DMs, you say, hey, thanks so much for engaging with my content. Really appreciate the support. If there's anyone I can connect you with, let me know. So that is something that I've done in the past, which has opened up conversations, and it said, oh, I'm looking for somebody who does X, Y, and Z. So again, if you go through your comments and there are people who fit your ideal client profile, then you could, if it feels natural, you could message them and say, hey, thanks for, you know, engaging. Let me know if there's anyone I can introduce you to. And you're not selling anything, but you are just creating conversation in the DMs. And, you know, this is a business platform, but we should absolutely talk about our personal things, bring our everyday lives into it. So I'm a big fan of Anthony Joshua. I've met him before. So I follow him. And when he had his comeback, I did an article on him and I said, you know, these are the 4 things that his comeback taught me. So it's got nothing really to do with the work that I do. But again, I've put a professional angle on it. I've put out a message that is something that I'm interested in. And again, the same with this, you know, I've got a son who was doing his cars and he told me this is how teamwork works. So bring your family. I love how Stuart brings his dog. His dog has got his own personality and it's really nice to see that. So don't feel that you cannot talk about things like that. Bring that, whether you put a professional angle or not, you know, bring that, let people see who you are. And again, I'll let you look at this in your own time when this is shared. But this is when you're really starting to be strategic with your content. You want to follow this kind of framework, which is your hook, your story, your lesson, and the takeaway. And again, you want to make sure you put a question in there. And here are some examples of results or offer or sales type content without selling. So all of these people are on this call here. Of course, we've got Julian and Stuart, and then we've got Heather and Hazel, who do this really well. So when you're demonstrating results, you don't have to be so obvious and explicit. You can do that by taking a picture of a testimonial, or taking a picture of a thank you card that a client has sent you, or an award that you've won. These are ways to show that you are good at what you do, that you offer services that are recognized by your peers. And again, it just forms that image that you're good at what you do. So we want to do this not too often, but we want to make sure that we are bringing in the fact that we are experts and we are good at what we do. Just in the interest of time, I'm going to skip this slide. These are just areas that you can get content from. It doesn't have to be all publications. You can get it from other social media platforms. And again, screenshot, I take things from Twitter. There'll be a quote and I'll ask my network if they agree. So I would say the more you consume, the more you can create. So try to consume more, whether it's podcasts, whether it's audios, social media. The more you consume, the more you can create. And whenever you get an idea, just dictate it into your phone. It just means that when you're ready to post, you've got a bank of content to choose from. I created an annual content calendar, which is what I share on request, but it's not difficult to create content if you are consuming content, because you're listening, things are going through your head.
Okay, Yvonne, I'm conscious of time. How are you doing there?
Yeah, we've got about 4 more slides or so.
Just whiz through and then we'll get some questions. I've got a couple of questions for Stuart and Sahar, because I'm conscious that people will be disappearing back to work.
Okay, so again, hashtag Sahar mentioned that, so we will pass that. Again, this was a case study of a personal C-levels profile versus the bank, and the difference when both posted the same video, the personal account got more engagement. And then just a challenge, which is, I'll let you look at this in your own time, is how do you increase that social selling index score? And you can do that in 15 minutes each day through these 6 actions. So again, this is after you've optimized your profile. These are the 6 steps that are very easy and very quick to do every day, and you will 100% see that score go up.
Okay.
So I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Go back to that slide just for a second. Go back to that slide. One more. Go back there. Right, leave it there. Right, folks. I'll leave it there so people can absorb that slide. We will be sending you, all of you that are on the call, a copy of these slides and a copy of the recording. But that's really, really important. Thanks, Yvonne, and sorry to cut you short. So just in 60 seconds, Stuart, what is it that you use LinkedIn for? What are you trying to achieve? I'm going to ask the same question to Sahar and after that. I think you're on mute, Stuart, as well.
Sorry about that. I would say in 60 seconds that as someone who's a fairly recent-ish convert to social media, it's been very useful to follow me on my journey since I started the firm. It is like a business Facebook. It is something that I can let my audience see what I'm up to, sometimes what I'm thinking. I think it's just very good for business as well. It's also good that certainly if you're getting a new client, perhaps, I think what a lot of clients will do is they will Google you. They will just want to see what kind of internet footprint you've got, and that will then bring up a bit of a resume of your, I wouldn't say necessarily of your career, but what you do, what you say, how you say it. And that's why I'm very, very careful about what I post. It's not too personal. But I will sometimes throw in a few nuggets there. So if I made some exceptional cooking concoction, I'll take a picture of it. Just something a little bit quirky, a little bit different to show that I'm a human being as well. And that's what I try to do. And I know I've got an audience, or what I sometimes jokingly call my fan club. It's just so people can see what I'm up to, and that's kind of what I get out of it or put into it the most.
And probably as a result of that, you, without realizing it, I know it's not front of mind, you probably actually monetize without realizing you monetize it. I mean, Sahar, do you want to pick up on that monetizing comment? Because ultimately, you know, however subtle we wish to be, monetizing is what this ends up being about. Do you want to comment on that and how you look at that and what value you get from LinkedIn in that context?
Yeah, I mean, we do tens of thousands of pounds of instructions, sometimes monthly, annually. It can run into hundreds of thousands, and you do that by engaging people in direct messaging. It has to be a natural conversation that begins through the content on the public forum. So whether that's your post or their post, and then you use that as a basis to have a private conversation through DMs. And that turns into a virtual coffee or an in-person meal. And pretty soon you're having a conversation about a problem that they've got for which they need your services. And that's how the relationship begins. So it's not just the conversation you're having online publicly, which is very, very important. In my experience, the vast majority of that monetization takes place in the direct messages and where you take it from there. That's where the business development functionality of it really comes into its own, and that's where you will really get the value of it.
Brilliant. So I think it's this evolution, isn't it? So we all start, you know, we started this journey with profile and then posts, and if we had all afternoon to talk, we would roll into that direct messaging piece, and that's the journey that you roll through. Yvonne, would you like just to roll the slides onto there's a slide about 3 or 4 slides on with the pictures of all of our presenters. Just that's it. We'll hold it there. So folks, I'm conscious that we have rammed in or tried to ram in a load of content into the course of an hour, and I know that some of you have 2 o'clock meetings to attend to and will be disappearing pretty quickly. What I would say is do take the opportunity to reach out to our speakers today. You know, Yvonne has got some great guidance and advice, which I know she's more than happy to share with you as a LinkedIn trainer, and just listening to, I mean, haven't had much comment from Sahar or Stuart, sorry, because of the time pressures, but they are great people to engage with and chat to about how they're using LinkedIn. Sahar's got tens of thousands of connections and is clearly making it work for him. So you can monetize LinkedIn very, very successfully, and I think Sahar is a working example of that. And we at Quill have generated new business and new clients through our LinkedIn work. So it does work, folks. My clock tells me it's 2 o'clock. I'm conscious that people will be leaving, and I can see people are leaving pretty rapidly now to go and do their 2 o'clock commitment. So thank you all for coming. Thank you both to Stuart and Sahar for backing up Yvonne, who's given us some great content, and we'll share that with you during the course of the next 24 hours or so. So thanks for coming. I'm going to say adios and enjoy your afternoons and the rest of the week. Bye, folks.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.